Hello and welcome to One Man Renegade Productions YouTube channel. I'm your host, the Honorable Greg B, and today is Saturday, and we are a little less than a week away from Halloween, but it is time for Halloween Havoc, as NXT will be putting on Halloween Havoc later on tonight. So I'm going to open up some NXT cards, and since they don't seem to be making any more NXT sets, I got to go back to the old faithful here, 2022 Panini NXT 2.0. But if you missed any previous wrestling-related videos, head on up. There's a big old massive playlist with all the wrestling-related videos from all the different brands and companies and stuff like that. But if you are looking for a specific one, because there's a lot in there, specific product or brand or whatever, it might be easy to go search the channel page. And while you're over there checking out all the amazing videos I've done over the years, or while you're right here, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, also the thumbs up, like this video, hit that share button, share this over, and down in the comments, tell me who you think is going to win all the matches at Halloween Havoc tonight. Are you excited for it? What your thoughts are? All that sort of thing. And then to also check out the links and information in the description for all my other internet things, all my social media and stuff like that. So I haven't done any wrestling videos recently for all the PLEs and pay-per-views because I've been away at my alternate site and don't really have the capabilities of recording videos there. So sorry that I missed a bunch of stuff, but I'm back and I'll be doing this more regularly. We got Saturday night's main event coming up next week for WWE. Then there's a couple weeks off, I think. Although I don't know, there might be something I'm forgetting. Then we got Full Gear, Survivor Series, Deadline, another Saturday's main event, and all sorts of stuff. So we're back at it. So let's get into it. Of course, like I said, even though Topps has the product back or the license back, I haven't really been doing much with WWE. Certainly haven't made any NXT. This was the only set that Panini made when they had the product. And, because before that, Topps was pretty regularly every year had an NXT set. But since they got the license back, they did Chrome, which came out initially. And I'm like, all right, cool. All right, we're back. Topps back. They're going to be making stuff. And then we've had, Finest came out recently. They did a Cactus Jack, Travis Scott Cactus Jack, Chrome set. And then they've been doing Topps now. But other than that, where's everything else? Where's just a base Topps? Where's NXT? Where's whatever else, I feel like they haven't really been doing much with the license, which is surprising. But whatever, we'll open these up. I mean, I've opened these a million times. We know what to expect. It'll be interesting to see who actually is left in NXT, that's still in this set. Tiffany Stratton, of course, with WWE, but she's on SmackDown and the WWE champion, women's champion. Tony D'Angelo, he's kind of gone missing. It's unclear what's going on with him. Kind of thought they might be bringing him up to the main roster, but then nothing happened, and then it was reported that he was taking time off or something. But I don't know. Kenny Williams no longer with the company. Aoife Valkyrie, now Lyra Valkyria, of course, she's on the main roster, but she's been popping down once now and again. I talked to Tatum Paxley, who's got a big match coming up. Alba Fire, she's up on the main roster. Primate's gone. Interesting. We got some misprinted cards here. They didn't forget to put the foil on. Mari Miller, nope. We got Roxanne Perez. Kind of weird. These weird Cameron Grimes, Giovanni Vinci. These aren't anything special, right? There's not no name variants or something that I'm not aware of. Damon Kemp, and Tioman. Of course, all those people are gone. But Drew McIntyre, of course, he's on the main roster. Carmelo Hayes with the green border on the main roster. And then Braun Breaker also on the main roster. So Tony D, potentially, if he comes back to NXT, is the only one that was from that pack that's actually in NXT. We got Mark Coffey gone. Joe Gacy, part of the Wyatt Six, tag team champion at the moment. Triple H, of course, he's running the big show now. Ilya Dragunov just recently returned and won the U.S. title from Sami Zayn, but that, of course, is on the main roster. Tiger Tehran gone. Ivy Niles, she's up on the main roster, although I can't remember the last time I actually saw her on TV. On Raw, I think, technically. Oh, no, more of these cards. Charlie Dempsey, he's around, but he's doing stuff in Japan at the moment. We got Wendy Chu, she's doing stuff in Evolve. Wild Boar is gone. Ginny, of course, married to Gunther, but no longer wrestling. Electra Lopez, gone. And Trent Seven, gone. And this is so weird. These cards are just don't have any name on it. Like they forgot to print the foil. It happens, but it's very interesting. Ricochet, of course, over in AEW. Braun Breaker, we discussed moments ago, but that is green version. And of course, then we got Kushida, who I believe is back in New Japan. I know he's in TNA for a little bit, but I think he's just back in New Japan now. All right, next pack. Noam Dar, he is out injured at the moment, but he's still with NXT. Josh Briggs, okay, the first guy that's actually kind of like active in NXT, but he doesn't have a match as far as I know tonight. I'm looking at the roster. Looking at the card real quick. No, not involved in anything specifically tonight. Doesn't mean he couldn't get involved, but Bruce Creed along with Ivy Nile, I don't know. Fallon Henley, of course, she'll be. Of course, I think she's injured at the moment, but she's on the roster. She's on the show. She'll be in JC Jane's corner, presumably, in the main event. So there we go. Another active NXT person. Active, sort of active. Injured at the moment. Maybe, sort of, kind of. I don't know. There was reports that she was injured, but then she was on the show. But then, I don't know. Anyways, Wesley, he was recently just let go. Oliver Carter, who was then Ora Mensa, who I believe got let go, or he's doing stuff in Evolve. I'm not sure. Flash Morgan Webster. More of these non-print things. Zoe Stark, of course, is out injured at the moment. She's on the main roster anyways. Saray is gone. We got Dani Luna. She's in TNA, so she sometimes shows up, I guess. Or could show up, I should say. Cruz del Toro up on the main roster. Amale, she is gone. Finn Balor, of course, doing the thing with Judgment Day. Of course, just lost tag titles. Damon Kemp is gone, but that is a silver. Seth Rollins, of course, unfortunately, is now injured and had to relinquish the title, but he is up on the main roster anyway, so there we go. All right, 3 more packs to go. I mean, no one that's in any matches. Well, I'm trying to think who's even in the set that would have a match tonight. I think there's only one person I can think of. No, two people. Steve Turner just recently got let go, even though she was the prime minister of Evolve, but not anymore. Johnny Saint, nope. James Drake, Boa, Broderick Strong, Malik Blade. Oh, did he get let go, or was his tag partner got let go? But then he was injured. I think he might still be around. I'm not sure at this point. And more. Katana Chance is gone, although it was just one. Mark Andrews gone. Joe Coffey gone. Santos Escobar almost gone, but not. He should be back on, apparently coming back on Raw next week, or at least soon. But contract was up, but didn't get renewed. Everyone thought he was gonna be gone, and then all of a sudden did a 180, and he came on back. There we go. JC Jane, finally. We got something here. JC Jane, of course, will be defending her NXT Women's Championship tonight against Tatum Paxley, I mentioned before. Of course, Tatum Paxley is in with the culling, although Izzy Dame is a little jealous of, or little, I don't know if jealous is the right word, but is concerned with her friendship with Lyra Valkyria, even though Lyra Valkyria is on Raw, but then shows up every once in a while. I think JC Jane's going to retain, because I think Izzy Dame's going to cost Tatum Paxley. That's what my thought is. But JC Jane. There we go. We got Rampage Brown. No longer with the company. Otis up on the main roster. Core Jane no longer with the company. That is the green version, though. And then we got Shayna Baszler, who is no longer with the company, but then was on NXT Homecoming, and people are saying she might be working, doing a little backstage stuff, and that's the Champions insert right there. Although I guess technically I should put this over in the not with the company pile. I don't know. All right, 2 more packs, and then we'll go over the rest of the card because, well, there might be one more person showing up in here that is part of the company. Elton Prince still out injured. His partner there, the other guy, has been kind of... He's been backstage talking to people on SmackDown, but we got Blair Davenport, no longer with the company. Caden Carter, no longer with the company. Zyquan Quinn, no longer with the company. Dave Mastiff, T-Bone, Jack Stars. Joaquin Wilde is still around with Cruz del Toro. Of course, there's Braun Breaker. We've talked about him already. Idris Sanofi, I believe, is gone now. Malik Blade's the one I'm not sure. I know he was injured, but I don't know if he's still around. He's still with the company. Sam Gradwell, Nina Samuels are no longer with the company. Corey Graves doing SmackDown now. We'll see what happens if or when Pat McAfee comes back. What happens with Corey Graves? But he's been bouncing around all over the place on commentary. 2 men, that is Silver, and Asuka doing her thing on Raw. All right, 1 last pack. And then, of course, we'll talk about the rest of the card beyond just the women's championship match. All right, we got Miko Satomura. She's no longer with the company. Aaliyah James. Tyler Bate. He's around, sort of, kind of. Not as necessarily Tyler Bate, but there's these Americano guys that, well, yeah. Yeah. But they were on NXT this week, so that kind of counts, I guess. Saxton Huxley, no longer with the company. Valentina Feroz. There we go. Trick Williams. He will be challenging Ricky Saints for the NXT championship. I think Ricky Saints is going to retain since, he just won it. I just wonder how much longer Trick Williams has on NXT, or if he's going to be called up sooner rather. I don't know if they'll really call him on him now necessarily. But I think maybe Royal Rumble time you might see him. I don't know if they would wait until just after WrestleMania, but I guess. But I just don't know where he goes from this. Unless he wins, and then that's a whole other conversation. But Ricky Saints just having won it. Because the other guy, Obafemi, that he won it from, what are you going to do with him, too? So I don't know. But I do think Ricky Saints is going to win. They had Julius Creed, talked about the Creeds. Whatever. Carmelo Hayes, talked about him up on the main roster. Cora Jade, talked about her. Shai Samuels, Ashton Smith, no longer with the company. Juan Wagner, longer company. Big E, it seems like he is officially retired now. He kind of alluded to that. He's on Stephanie McMahon's podcast, and basically, I don't know if he necessarily said the words retired, but pretty much retired, unfortunately. Shinsuke Nakamura made a brief return. Seemed like they were starting something with him, with Sami Zayn and the MFTs, but then nothing. He just disappeared again. Although he went to Japan, I don't know. So we'll see what happens, if anything, with that. Seemed like they were going to do a rematch at some point, but then Sami said, I want to defend the title, and Shinsuke's not here, so this guy stepped in and won the title. And Raquel Rodriguez, of course, doing the Judgment Day thing. So there we go. Those are all the cards. Nothing too exciting or crazy out of here, but it's all I got for NXT, unfortunately. So I do still have a number of these boxes left. I did buy a case of them at one point. I think I still have a hobby box somewhere, but I'm just hoping that Topps will release another set. Or maybe I'll go back and buy some of the older stuff too. Although that stuff is harder to come by, and I don't know if it's more expensive necessarily, but it's definitely don't see it as much. But anyways, the other matches, surprisingly no spin the wheel make the deal, or at least they haven't announced any spin the wheel make the deal matches. Although I guess on the night of, they could just be like, you know what, it's Halloween Havoc, we're going to spin the wheel, make the deal. But they haven't talked about it at all, which has been interesting. But that doesn't mean there's not gimmick matches, because there is a Day of the Dead match for the NXT North American Championship. We got Ethan Page defending against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., which is still a very confusing name. Who I believe is some champion in AAA, but that one's not online. Just Ethan Page's is. I do think Ethan Page is going to successfully defend the title. Then we have another title match. Actually, we got two other title matches. But one of them's the champion's not defending. Explain. Sol Ruka, who is injured, has a knee injury, but it's unclear how bad the knee injury is, it seems, because she didn't vacate the title. Although I wonder if they just held off for vacating the title because they had to. Seth Rollins had to vacate the night before to be like, are we just vacating titles left and right here in WWE? But no, she didn't vacate it, but she said she wasn't going to be ready for the match on Saturday. So Zarya, her tag partner, stepped in, and she's going to be defending the Women's North American Championship against Blake Monroe. I do think Blake Monroe is going to win and take the title. I think she was going to win it either way, but hey, there it is. Also, before we move on to the final match we're going to discuss, title match that is, there is one other match that's not a title match. Although it involves a title holder, as Leon Slater, who is the TNA X Division champion, will be tagging with Javon Evans, taking on AAA's Mystery Iguana and La Parka. Of course, it's not the La Parka from like the WCW days. He goes by LA Park now, but as La Parka, I don't know. It's also not the original, or not the original, but the other La Parka who died a few years ago. It is a different La Parka, because I guess AAA just owns the rights to La Parka and can just make whoever they want to La Parka. I guess. I don't know. It's confusing. But anyways, Mr. Iguana and La Parka against Javon Evans and Leon Slater. I think Javon Evans and Leon Slater are going to win. Eventually, I think they're going to have their rematch for the X Division title. Of course, Dark State ruined that. Although I do think they will also maybe take on Dark State at some point. However, Dark State is busy because they are challenging the Broken Hardys to a Broken Rules match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, trying to regain the titles from the Hardys, who of course they lost to back at Showdown, TNA and NXT Showdown. Part of me was thinking going into this match initially that I thought Dark State might win them back, and then Hardys could just go back over to TNA and worried about their TNA stuff. But since they made it a Broken Rules match, I don't see that happening. So I think the Hardys are going to win. So there we go. That is Halloween Havoc. Of course, if they do a spin the wheel, make the deal matches, I would think it'd be for the title matches. But since they already have a Broken Rules match and a Day of the Dead match, they may not bother with it this year. But we'll see. As long as they don't do a monster truck sumo match or whatever that was back in '95 with Hogan and the Giant, and no one falls off the top of the building and then 2 seconds later is perfectly fine. That's fine with me. Chambers of Horror match I wouldn't mind if they did it right, to be quite honest with you. But since they have War Games coming up, I don't think they would bother with that. Although it is interesting that AAA AEW is doing their Blood and Guts coming up in a couple weeks, just before Survivor Series happens. Normally they do the Blood and Guts in like the summertime. So it is kind of interesting. I think, are we gonna get a little worn out from the Survivors or the War Games concept? Although I don't know what WWE is going to do for War Games now that their original plan seemingly is out the door. It seems like they're going to go with Solo Sikoa, MFTs taking on I'm guessing they're going to take on the Wide Six and maybe Sami Zayn to fill out the 5th person there. Unless they recruit a new member. I don't really know. It'll be interesting, though. We'll talk about that in a few weeks' time. Next week, we got Saturday main event coming up, so I'll do something for that. Of course, got CM Punk taking on Jey Uso for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship, so we'll see what goes on with that. Gotta imagine Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed get involved somehow with that. But anyways, that's going to do it for now. That's going to do it for today. Enjoy Halloween Havoc tonight, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.